All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep behind the curtain of modern tax scams. We're going to dissect exactly how they work, and more importantly, we're going to build a defense playbook to protect your money. And we're getting our intel straight from the source, the IRS itself.
So let's just start with that question, right? Think you can spot a tax scam? Because I'm telling you, the game has totally changed. What you might think of as a scam, a suspicious phone call, has evolved into something way more sophisticated and woven into our everyday lives.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, forget about those old school landline calls. The real battleground now, it's your social media feed, your text messages, your email inbox. Scammers aren't just making random calls anymore. They're crafting these incredibly persuasive, targeted messages that look and feel just like the content you scroll through every single day. Okay, so to really fight back, we've got to understand the battlefield. And you know what? Our best intel comes straight from the top, the IRS. Every year, they compile a list of the most dangerous and common scams out there. So what exactly is this Dirty Dozen list? Well, it's really important to know what it is and what it isn't. This isn't some legal document or a list of indictments. Think of it more like a public service announcement. It's the IRS basically sending up a flare, warning all of us about the biggest threats they're seeing. All right, let's break down the first playbook these scammers use. You might think the most successful scams rely on threats, right? Nope. They actually tap into something way more powerful, that little voice in our heads hoping for a windfall, the irresistible lure of a huge, unexpected payday. And this fuel tax credit scam, it's a perfect example. What scammers do is they take a totally legitimate but super specific credit, one that's meant for things like farm equipment, and they twist it. They sell it as this secret loophole that anyone can use. The reality? Most of us just don't qualify, not even close. And this is what it looks like in the wild. You'll be scrolling through social media and see a post just like this, promising thousands of dollars. It's all about creating this sense of urgency, this you're missing out feeling. They want you to act fast, to DM them right now, before you have a chance to stop and think, wait a minute, is this for real? So you start to see the pattern here, right? It doesn't matter if it's an old, expired pandemic credit or they're telling you to just invent employees. The core strategy is always the same. Dangle the promise of a massive refund to trick you into filing a totally false tax return. Okay, now for the second playbook. And this one is the complete opposite. Instead of offering a carrot, they come at you with a stick. They use fear, they use deception, they pretend to be someone with authority, all to scare you into acting against your own best interests. Okay, pay close attention to this, because this might be the single most powerful defense you have. It's so simple. The IRS, they start contact with you through good old-fashioned snail mail. They will never, and I mean never, send you a text, an email, or a social media DM asking for your personal financial info. It just doesn't happen. If you can just burn that one fact into your brain, you can shut down almost all of these impersonation scams instantly. Now this one is a bit more sneaky, a bit more insidious. Scammers know the tax system can be confusing, so they pose as a helpful guide. They'll offer to help you set up your official IRS online account. Sounds nice, right? But what they're really doing is just watching you type in all your personal information so they can steal it and use it to file a fake return in your name. And it's not always about scaring you. Sometimes they weaponize our own generosity. Think about it. A big natural disaster happens. Everyone wants to help. Scammers know this. They'll quickly whip up these very convincing fake charity websites to steal donations, and just as importantly, steal the personal data from all the kind-hearted people who are just trying to do the right thing. All right, on to our third playbook. Scammers aren't just going after us as individuals. They're way smarter than that. They also attack a really critical point of vulnerability, that circle of trust between you and your tax professional. This right here, the ghost preparer, is a huge, flashing neon red flag. So here's how it works. They'll prepare your entire return, for a fee of course, but when it's time to sign it, poof, they're gone. Why? Because signing that return makes them legally responsible for what's on it. And they have zero intention of being on the hook for the fraudulent return they just filed using your name. So when the IRS eventually comes knocking, guess who they're coming for? You. So here are the 4 big warning signs to watch for. 1, they won't sign the return. 2, they want a fee that's based on a percentage of your refund. That's a huge no-no. 3, they only accept cash. And 4, and this is a big one, they try to have your refund deposited into their bank account, not yours. If you see any of these, run, don't walk, and find someone else. And it gets bigger. This is a threat to the entire system. Scammers will actually target the tax professionals themselves. They'll send an email pretending to be a potential new client. The tax bro, thinking it's new business, opens an attachment or clicks a link and bam! They've just downloaded malware that gives the criminals access to their entire client database. In one shot, they can steal the data of hundreds of people. Okay, we've broken down the attacks. Now for the good part. Our 4th section, let's build your defense strategy. I'm talking concrete tools and habits you can start using literally today. And here's the most important thing to remember. The best defense is proactive, not reactive. You don't wait for a burglar to break in before you decide to lock your doors, right? Security is the same way. It's about building a wall that's so strong, scammers just look at it and decide, you know what, this is too much work, and move on to an easier target. And speaking of locking your doors, this is probably the single best deadbolt you can put on your financial life. It's called an Identity Protection PIN, or IP PIN. It's a simple 6-digit code that only you and the IRS know. Think of it like a secret password for your tax return. A thief could have your name, your address, even your social security number, but if they don't have this PIN, they absolutely cannot e-file a return in your name. It just stops them cold. And the best part? Anyone can get one for free, voluntarily. So here's your security checklist. This is what you do. First, go to irs.gov and get yourself an IP PIN. Seriously, do it today. Second, always make sure your tax preparer has a valid PTIN. That's their official number. Third, just good digital hygiene. Strong, unique passwords and multi-factor authentication on everything. Fourth, trust your gut. If something sounds way too good to be true, it is. And finally, never ever click on unsolicited links in text or emails claiming to be from the IRS. Follow these steps and you become a much harder target. Okay, finally, let's pull the camera back. Let's zoom out. Because beyond any specific scam or tool, your absolute best defense is understanding the psychology behind all of this. You know, the thing is, the specific scams are always going to change. The fuel tax credit scam might be big this year, but next year it'll be something else. The tactics evolve, but the core emotional triggers that scammers exploit, those almost never change. And really, it all boils down to 2 things. Just 2, greed and fear. I promise you, almost every single scam you will ever encounter is built on one of those 2 primal emotions. It's either an unbelievable promise of free money, or it's a terrifying threat of legal action or arrest. That's it. So the next time you get a weird message about your taxes, just stop and ask yourself, which button is this trying to push? Greed or fear? Once you can see that pattern, once you understand their playbook, you're not a potential target anymore. You're an informed defender. The game completely changes. So what's the first move you're gonna make? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.